Hello everybody on YouTube, it's Michael here, and in the next 3 videos I'll be showing you the Yamaha PSR-6300 Keyboard. Now the Yamaha PSR-6300 was a top of the range keyboard back in 1986, and it, just like most keyboards back then, had the FM synthesis, frequency modulation. And this keyboard is very identical to another keyboard that I showed you over 6 years ago, and that is the Yamaha PS-6100, which had the same sort of casing and design, and they both had the FM synthesis. The PS-6100 came out in 1984, a year after the Yamaha DX7, and this keyboard here, the PSR-6300, came out in 1986, both of which have their differences when it comes to sounds and features and rhythms and so on. So right now, here is a short video clip of the PS-6100 and the PSR-6300 together. So here, right in front of me, we have here on the top here, at the back stand, the 1984 Yamaha PS-6100. And here on the bottom stand is in the front is the Yamaha PSR-6300, in which I'll be showing today. Now, as you can see, the two keyboards, the casing are exactly the same as each other, with same design, same casing and so on. There are a few differences of the two keyboards. Well, the main difference is this one here, the PS-6100, is a couple of years older than the PSR-6300. When it comes to the voices, the PSR-6300, I'll do this one first, has 16 voices for each group, the orchestra upper, lower and solo. But on the PS-6300 here, there are actually 18 solo and orchestra upper voices. So that there's actually a few more voices of the orchestra upper and solo voices of the PS-6100. But when it comes to the lower voices, there are actually 6 voices for the lower section of the keyboard. So there's actually more on the PSR-6300. Both of them, as you can see, has 32 rhythms on both keyboards. Although there is a difference, is that on the PSR-6300 there's 8 custom rhythms in which you can create your own styles. Although there are styles built in onto the custom section, but you can overwrite them, though you can't do that on the PS-6100. And also, on the PSR-6300, you have a pitch bend and modulation wheel, though the modulation wheel only works with the solo voices, but you don't get that anywhere on the PS-6100. And here's another thing I like about the PS-6100, you have the transposer. You have the transposer wheel that you get from most of the keyboards during that time, especially the PC-100 and PS-55. And we have on the PSR-6300, you just have transposer buttons, not the wheel like the PS-6100. I actually prefer the transposed wheel from this keyboard than the transposed buttons of this keyboard. So yes, they both have their differences. They have like different rhythms. Some of the sounds are the same, but you actually get more overall on the PSR-6300. With the voices all put together, there's 48 voices in total, whereas the PS-6100, you have altogether 42 voices because you don't get that many on the lower section here. Yes, sorry that the PS-6100 is not turned on. Reason for that is that I couldn't find the mains lead for that keyboard. It's not like a kettle lead, although it's similar to a kettle lead, but it's a let me just show you quickly. As you can see, it's I'll just focus on that. It's a 2-pin, not a 3-pin like the kettle lead of other keyboards such as the PSR-6300. And you know, I'd really like to find the mains lead for the PS-6100 because I have been trying to find them on eBay, but they're not really easy to find and they're very hard to come to, so I've got to try and find my one for the PS-6100. So that's just an overview of the PS-6100 and PSR-6300. Again, they both look identical, they're both like the same design and casing, with their few differences. Okay, so that's just a video clip of both the PS-6100 and PSR-6300 here, where I explain a little about them and telling you their differences and so on. One thing I forgot to mention about the PS-6100 and PSR-6300 differences is that the PSR-6300, we have a slot here for a ROM cartridge. The PS-6100 didn't have that. Okay, so right now, on this video, I'll be going through with you a tutorial of this keyboard so you can get to know how to use this keyboard if any of you have got one of these keyboards or are thinking about getting one. Thank you very much for watching and hope you enjoy. Okay, so the first thing that I want to show you of this tutorial of this keyboard is how to open and close the keyboard. Now from here, to open up the keyboard, you just lift this up slightly and just pull this and then just slightly lift up the keyboard and click that into place. And then from here, you just slide this open and there's your keyboard. And for the music rest, you just open this, just like so, and there's this little thing by the music rest here, which you just push down, and there you go. Out pops the music rest. And there's your keyboard when you want to use it. And in order to close the keyboard when you're not using it, just do exactly what I did by opening it, but by closing it. So just put this music rest back down, close that, and from here, that's it, just take this up here like that, have this up like that, and then we can just clicks into place. And that's how you open and close the keyboard. That's I think that's quite a good feature for this keyboard on how to open up and close the keyboard. It's basically 3 things in one. It's obviously a keyboard, and it's a music rest, and it's also, as you can see when you close the keyboard, a dust cover. So it's like a music rest, keyboard and dust cover all in one. Because with modern keyboards you have the music rest separately, but it's actually built in on this keyboard and the PS-6100. And when you're not using the keyboard, you can just close it up like that. So it's like a dust cover as well, because it's protecting dust from the keys and all the buttons of the keyboard. And that is how you open and close the keyboard. Okay, so the next thing that I want to show you is some of the controls of this keyboard. First of all, we have the key velocity sensitivity here, in which is basically the touch sensitivity of this keyboard. So it's on normal at the moment, so you just, oh, there we go, and we just, it'll be normal sensitivity, and when it's on, and you put it to low, you don't have to hit the key so hard for full velocity sensitivity. And for high, you have to press the keys a bit harder for the full velocity. So we just put that back to normal. And now we have the pitch bend range, because this keyboard here has a pitch bend wheel. It's got different functions. We have octave, fifth, third and second, which I will show you. So at the moment it's on octave. So when you put the pitch bend up, it goes an octave higher. And when you go to push the pitch bend down, it will pitch the octave down of the keyboard. So something like this. It also works for the solo voices as well. So here's a solo voice. And orchestral lower voice. Oh, no, sorry. My bad. No, it doesn't work on the... unless you put it to upper, so you got the two voices at the same time. So it'll work like that. And now we can also change the pitch bend range. So now it's on fifth, so it'll sound like this. Or third. And finally, second. This is the pitch bend range that the most keyboards is the default. So it's... So yeah, most keyboards have that default, the pitch bend wheels. But the default on this keyboard, when you turn it on, is the octave. So that's the pitch bend range function. And now I want to show you something else with the controls, and that is the foot switch function. So we see I've got a foot pedal here. It's not a Yamaha pedal, but it will still work on this keyboard. And you have 5 different controls. We have here glide, portamento, fill in, start stop, intro and ending, which I will show you using the foot switch. So first of all, we have the glide. So using this pedal. And then we can switch the function to portamento, which I will show you later on this video actually, because it only works with the solo voices, so I will show you that later on in this video. And we change the control to fill in, which applies to the rhythms. I'll show you that now. So you don't have to press these fill in buttons here, you can just do this. And then the other foot switch function is that we can start, instead of pressing the start stop button with the rhythm, we can actually do the start stop using this pedal here. And finally, with the foot switch function, we have the intro and ending. So we just so you press the pedal once for the intro. And then you press it again for the ending. So that's just some of the foot switch functions. And here is a couple more controls. We have here the transposer controller and the pitch control as well, which I will show you. So here's the transposer. You just press these two simultaneously to get the default transpose. And we have the pitch control as well. And again, you just press these two simultaneously to get the default pitch. Now here are a couple more controls, which unfortunately I can't do because I don't have them. First of all, we have the RAM pack, 2-pack and from pack. Because you can save stuff that you've done on the keyboard to the pack when it comes to styles and songs, etc. And you can also load stuff from the pack that you've previously done on the keyboard. And we have another one here, to tape and from tape, because you can also record things by to the tape by connecting a cassette player on the keyboard, in which you can load stuff to the tape. You can save stuff to the tape and load stuff from the tape. So it's almost similar to the RAM pack features. So there's just a couple more controls. Unfortunately, I can't do them because I don't have a cassette player and I don't have any ROM cartridges for this keyboard. And now another thing I want to show you is the auto bass chord controls. We have here fingered, single finger, manual bass and off. So with the auto bass chord set to fingered, we have to play and we have to press multiple keys to make a chord. And with the auto bass chord set to single finger, you only need to use one finger. And then with the auto bass chord set to manual bass, it will change the left hand side of the keyboard into a bass voice, which will be monophonic. And with the auto bass chord set to off, it will turn off the auto bass chord. And now I want to show you the memory button here. So we set it to fingered, and now with the memory button turned on, as it is automatically, we start a rhythm. And notice that the rhythm doesn't stop as soon as I let go of the keys. And now we're going to have the memory button turned off. And basically what that does is that every time when I let go of the keys when playing the style automatically turns itself off. So we just press start. There we go. It doesn't memorize the chords unless I hold down the keys. Another thing I want to show you with the memory button is when we press the synchro start button here. We just play the style, and every time I let go of the key, the style stops. With that turned back on. So yes, so that's quite some great features with the auto bass chord controls, and that is the auto bass chord controllers. And here's another thing that I want to show you, and that is the volume controllers. Each section has a volume. We have the volume there's the master volume, and then we have the bass, chord and rhythm volumes for the rhythm styles. We have a volume for the orchestra lower, upper and solo voices. So I'll show you that now. So first of all, I'm going to show you the rhythm volumes controllers. So we have the bass volume, the chord volume, and the rhythm volume. And now for the orchestral upper voice, we have the volume for that. And the volume for the orchestral lower voice, which I'm going to actually turn it to upper by pressing the 2 upper button. And then finally, the solo voice volume. So those are the volume controllers for each part of the keyboard. The accompaniment styles with the bass, chord and rhythm, and the orchestral lower, upper and solo voices. And now I want to show you some of the accompaniment style features. So we have altogether 32 styles on this keyboard, and each style has 4 fill-ins and 2 variations by pressing this variation button here. So I'll show you that quickly now. And now the variation. So that applies to all 32 styles, and also this keyboard has an intro and ending per style as well. So we just press intro and ending button here, which you can also do with the foot switch, as I showed you earlier on. So we just press intro, and this is the intro. And then we press it again for the ending. So that's just the auto accompaniment style features with the fill-ins, variations, intro and ending. Okay, so here is another quick control that I want to show you, and that is the key split. And there's these lights here, if you can see them. Every time you press the key split button, it changes the keyboard split point. So we're going to select single finger chord, for example. So we have the split is down here, and it stops there. And we press the key split here, and now we have the light LED here, which makes the chord split point go up a bit, up to here. And finally, here's the last key split, which ends here. It also appeals to the manual bass and the orchestra lower of the keyboard. So we turn that off. So that's just the key split feature. And now I'm going to show you the custom accompaniment programmer, in which you can use to create your own styles. Now, with this keyboard, you have 32 built-in styles. We have 24 here with names. And the last 8, we have style custom 1 to custom 8. Although there are factory styles in those styles, I'll show you now. So yes, although the custom buttons here have factory preset styles on them, though you can rewrite them to create your own styles. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So in order to create your own styles, you press Program, and And then what we're going to do, we're going to clear all parts of that style to make our own style. So first of all, I'm going to do a bass. So I'll do that now. So that's our bass done. And now we're going to do a rhythm. So that's our rhythm done. And now we're going to record a part for the chord. And now that we've programmed all parts, we're going to select one of the 8 custom buttons. So we're going to select custom 1. And then we press stop. And that's our style programmed into custom 1 out of 8. So now we can play that back and control it using different chords. So that is how you use Custom Accompaniment Programmer to create your own styles. And now what I'm going to do is show you the voice controllers. So basically the voices are divided into 3 groups. We have Orchestra Lower, Upper and Solo voices that are monophonic. So I'll go through the voice controls now. So first of all we have the Orchestra Upper. So with the Orchestra Upper, we have 2 sustain buttons, 1 and 2. And also we have effects such as chorus. So here is how it sounds like normally. And now we turn on the chorus. And with the accompaniment turned on, though I'll turn the bass and chord down, we also have duet and trio harmony. So we're going to turn that on. So we press a chord on our left hand. We'll turn the key split up a bit. There we go. So that's the duet harmony, and now we have the trio harmony. So So that's the orchestral upper voice. There are 18 voices in total. I'm sorry, there are 16 voices in total. And now I'm going to go through the orchestra lower voice. Again, we have the sustain. Again, we have the sustain. Oh, here's the lower voice. Sustain 1, sustain 2, and chorus. But the good thing about the Orchestra Lower voice is that it's not only intended for the left-hand side of the keyboard. If you press the button to upper, whilst having the Orchestra Upper voice turned on, you can actually layer these sounds at the same time. So for example, we have, let's just say, piano for the Orchestra Upper voice and strings for the Orchestra Lower. So we can have these two at the same time. Or let's just say we have, say, vibes and a toy piano. Or maybe have, let's just say, for example, bells on the Orchestra Lower voice and strings on the Orchestra Upper voice. So not only is the Orchestra Lower intended for the left-hand side of the keyboard, you can also use it as a dual voice, so that you can play the Orchestra Lower and Upper voices simultaneously. I think the best one is, of course, piano and strings. But you can also have the Orchestra Lower voice on the right-hand side of the keyboard as a full keyboard by turning off the Orchestra Upper voice whilst having the Orchestra Lower voice turned on. Have the to upper button turned on, so you can play them just like you would with the Orchestra Upper. So that's the Orchestra Lower and Orchestra Upper voices, being able to play them at the same time. And now I'm going to show the solo voice controls. So we have, they're monophonic. Again, we have sustain 1, sustain 2, and chorus. Another good thing about the solo voices is that you don't have it with the Orchestra Lower and Upper voices, but we have here the portamento button. So here's the portamento button, in which you can hold down a key and press, say, a key an octave higher to have this sort of portamento effect. So we have the bottom key, say here, a lower key to the highest key. Almost looks like a game of almost sounds like a game of Pac-Man. But not only can we use portamento in that way, as I've showed you before, you can also assign the foot switch to portamento. As you can see, when I'm holding down the pedal on here, the portamento button automatically turns itself on when you hold down the pedal, and off when you let go. As you can see on the here. On, off, on, off. So that's another neat feature for the solo voices, using the foot switch to switch to toggle portamento on and off. So here, no portamento, and now with portamento. So yes, that's quite a neat feature. And another thing, we have a slider for the solo voice, we have the portamento time. So we just turn on portamento. So when the portamento time slider is turned to its minimum, it will act as if the portamento was not turned on. So here's the portamento time slider as we put it up. And one more thing with the solo voices is the modulation wheel. Now the modulation wheel won't work on the orchestra lower and upper voices, but it will work with the solo voices. So there's the modulation wheel. You probably won't be able to see it, but I'm using it. And we can use that to add vibrato. Though the modulation wheel only works with the solo voices. So that's just a feature of the orchestra lower, upper and solo voices. Now here's another thing with the voices, and that is, not only does this keyboard have the 48 voices with the orchestra lower, upper and solo, but we also have here, the button here, keyboard percussion, which is basically the keyboard's drum kit. We can use that to play the drum sounds of the keyboard. So that's the keyboard percussion, in which you can access the keyboard's drum kit. And now the next thing that I want to show you is the registration memory buttons here. So you can save your settings on registration memory. There are 5 buttons, as you can see, in total. Although the registration memory buttons here already has presets on here. So we have registration memory button 1, 2, but we can overwrite them and make our own settings. So let's just say, for example, we're going to select pops as a rhythm, and we're actually going to change the voices here. We're going to change it into, say, a toy piano for the lower voice, piano for, brass 2 for the orchestra upper voice, and trumpet for the solo voice. That's the toy piano, and pops as a rhythm. And we're going to hold down the program button next to the registration memory, and we're going to program bank 1. So that's all programmed. So we can go back to it. So that's our registration memory saved, and now we want to select another one. So we're going to do another one. We're going to select a setting for registration memory number 2. We're going to actually turn off solo, and we're going to select upper for the orchestra lower, and we're going to select piano for the orchestra upper and string ensemble for the lower end. So and we're going to select 16 beat as a rhythm. And then once that's all done, we're going to hold down program and select number 2. So that's our registration bank number 1 with the pop style and toy piano on the orchestra lower. And here is registration memory button number 2, in which we programmed. So that's how you use registration memory to create up to 5 of your own settings. And now, the final thing that I want to show you on this tutorial of this keyboard, and that is the music programmer here on the top right side of this video. You can record different parts. We have one here for the solo, orchestra upper, orchestra lower, accompaniment, and bass. So first of all, I'm going to select to record the accompaniment section. So we just press record of the accompaniment section, and then the keyboard is waiting for me to play chords on the left hand side. And then we just press stop once we've finished. And now we can select this button to play back what we recorded of the accompaniment section. And now the next bit I'm going to record is the bass. Although when you select the bass, it will cut the accompaniments bass so that you can make your own. So we're going to press record of the bass section and play back the accompaniment. So something like this. And now that we've done the bass part, we can now play back both the accompaniment and bass. As you can hear, because I recorded the bass part, you can't hear the bass. Oh, you can now. But when you press the bass, it cuts off the accompaniment bass. So yeah, with that, when you record the bass, it actually cuts off the accompaniment styles bass when it's being played back. And now we're going to play, we're going to record a part for the orchestra upper. So we're going to select brass. So record the orchestra upper whilst playing back the accompaniment and bass section. So now it's waiting for us to record a part for the orchestra upper. And now we can play those back. And now we're going to record a part for the solo voice. So we turn on the solo. We're going to do, we'll select that voice. And then we're going to record a part for the solo whilst playing back the orchestra upper, accompaniment and bass. So now we can play those back. And now finally, to get our full orchestra of the music programmer, we are going to record something for the orchestral lower voice. So we're going to select, we're going to select electric organ. And then we're going to use the music programmer to record a part for the orchestra lower whilst playing all the others back that are previously recorded. So now that I've finally recorded a part for every single part, the solo, the orchestra upper, lower, accompaniment and bass, I can now play all those back. So that's all the parts of the music programmer. However, the playing wasn't that great, but I was just showing an example on how to use the music programmer to record all parts to make a complete orchestra. And that is how you use music programmer for each part to record parts for the solo, orchestra upper and lower, accompaniment and bass parts of the keyboard. Okay, so this is now the end of this video, of the tutorial of this keyboard here. I do hope you have enjoyed this video and that you have found this tutorial useful. I must say, for its time, this keyboard has got some really great features in compared to the PS-6100, which I have showed you over 6 years ago. So again, I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Please do write back to me and tell me what you think. Thank you very much for watching and stay tuned for the next video in which I'll be showing you the voices.